Hey guys, what's going on? Want to go over something that looks like it's an important solve that Jason Blundell hinted at back in 2017 when Treyarch released Zombie Chronicles, and he himself presented the zombie timeline to the zombies community. One thing that he mentioned first is that the zombie timeline comes from the Chronorium, and depending who's reading or looking at the Chronorium, everything's going to look different to every single person. Now, in the one that's on the screen right now, and this is some stuff that you may not already know, depending if you've done research. This version of the timeline is being read by Edward Richtofen, and on the right-hand side there is a long number, and I believe that's the version of Richtofen that's reading it. There's basically an infinite amount of Richtofens in each character, and the way the story is going to play out, it can play out in a lot of different possibilities. So knowing that, he hinted that Blundell hinted that in a couple years, and keep in mind this is 2017, he went on a press tour, he did interviews with YouTubers and gaming channels. He basically said in a couple years, so thinking 2017, he said in about a year or two, the zombie timeline is going to make more sense to everyone. And on top of that, it all depends who's reading the zombie timeline. Everybody's going to be looking at it and interpreting it on their different level. If you just play the games and the maps, and you just want to play and just kill zombies, you're going to understand the timeline in a certain way. If you do more advanced, the Easter eggs and the longer Easter eggs, and you search, or if you're very hardcore zombie hunter, I guess, or researcher, you're going to understand the zombie timeline in the most. And that's my point of view that I want to present to you guys. He hinted also that the physical structure of the zombie timeline is very important. So really quickly, I'm just going to kind of show you the official Treyarch zombie line video, and then after that I'll show you, or we'll talk more about the physical structure and what it means to me. And so basically, the zombie timeline starts in the middle, and on probably the lowest level, it's just basically the story, the zombie storyline, how it evolved over the years. You know, all the stuff that Richtofen, Samantha, Primus, Victus, Ultimus, everything they went through throughout the years. And as time went on, the storyline got bigger and bigger, and it started spreading out more and more, as you can see. And it has dates and everything like that, and explains everything that the crews went through in the timeline. And then there's also timelines within timelines, and dimensions and stuff like that. So okay, so that was just to show you how in the video they said it started here in the beginning. I'm not going to go through every single date because so many people have done that. It's more about the physical structure and what I think everybody missed, and it's something that I really hope they keep going at. So as you can see, the original story timeline started at the middle and it goes all the way out. And back in the day, I would say probably around Black Ops 2, these were just different maps that weren't connected to the main storyline. Specifically, and I don't remember the other ones, but specifically Mob of the Dead was never connected to the original Ether, Primus, Ultimus crew story. And so I think one of these, and I don't know which one exactly, so I don't want to kind of pick one out. One of these originally was Mob of the Dead, and now this storyline, I guess, is a storyline from maybe Black Ops 3, where, because Blundell presented this version of the timeline at the end of Black Ops 3 and during the Zombie Chronicles. And in this version, Mob of the Dead had already started mixing into the original storyline, I think, with Victus being underneath Alcatraz and the Blood Vials, and basically Mob of the Dead was starting to take over the Primus Ultimus timeline because it started blending into it. Now, I would say prior to that, this timeline was never touching the original Ether timeline. Some of this I think people know, but I'm just kind of going over how it's a spiraling story, and then the stories within stories, and that's a different layer. Um, there's going to be different layers, and Blundell says that, and it's something I've known because a lot of the storyline I've figured out. Some of it I've told people, some of it I haven't. Some of it's still on my back burner, so to speak, that I haven't mentioned to people. So just so you can grasp the concept, and some people know this, that these are just stories within stories, and they're starting to touch and intertwine with each other. So which brings me to the next one. So what I think it is, and this is why I'm calling it the Call of Duty Zombies universe. This universe is made up of basically an infinite amount of galaxies. The universe is always expanding. Um, and then I'll get into some other stuff. So the middle one, the original timeline, is the Milky Way. This is the Andromeda Galaxy, and these are just other spiral galaxies. And the original storyline was basically spinning by itself, the Milky Way at one point, and then eventually these galaxies slash stories, timelines, dimensions started intertwining with our Milky Way. Now, every galaxy has a black hole in the middle. Those black holes have a really strong gravitational pull towards other black holes, which are in the center of other spiraling galaxies. So just to kind of give you more of, still on the aspect of the physical structure of our universe and galaxies, how they work. So what I think a lot of people missed, where he was saying in a couple years it's all going to make sense to you, both on every single level. It should start making sense on the map level while you're playing the game, and then outside the storyline, and then uh, different levels going up from there. Now, these spiraling galaxies may have been out in the distance, like similar to the storyline. Now they're getting closer, and they're starting to intertwine with our Ether story, whereas um, these are all kind of mixing together now, and they're going back and forth, kind of like an electron field. If you're familiar with atoms and electrons come together, and the electrons kind of share each other, and stuff like that. If you can always Google that stuff, and that's one thing too. I like presenting the stuff to people, and you go on your own and you further your own research. I'm not one of the type of person to give all the answers, so it kind of reminds me also, or you can kind of use like atoms getting together. They're valence electrons, I believe, if I remember correctly, are all mixing and sharing with each other. So what I think that he hinted at, and I'm starting to see it a lot more in the zombie maps, these outside galaxies are other zombie modes from the other studios are starting to intertwine. The most obvious one is Infinite Warfare Zombies with Afterlife. They call it Pack-a-Punch, they call it Carpenter, Max Ammo, everything like that. And the Faust and Mephistopheles storyline are shared within Treyarch and Infinite Warfare Zombies. And you're starting to see more and more of Infinite inside of Treyarch Zombies and Black Ops 4, and then in Infinite Warfare Zombies, you saw some Treyarch stuff in there too. Afterlife, I guess, is another version. The Afterlife Theater was another version of Keener der Toten, maybe what happened in another dimension or timeline, or in their galaxy is different from our galaxy, because you could have they say that you can have your multiple versions of yourself in a galaxy, far away and stuff like that. And to show that, I have a video, and I'll link it, that you can see how Treyarch and Infinite Warfare and Infinity Ward are all kind of blending everything together, which I thought was awesome because I remember when Black Ops 3 was over, I'm like, man, what a shame that we're such on a high positive. The zombies community really liked Black Ops 3, the storyline, and it ended. What a shame that they can't just continue that. Like I would have loved to seen like Primus or Ultimus inside of Infinite Warfare Zombies, and for them to um, do that in a clever way of mixing the storylines, not deliberately. I think people may have flipped out, and I think that's kind of good that the way they did it. That like there's there's some Treyarch zombies and Infinite Warfare zombies, and now you're starting to see uh, Infinite Warfare zombies. And I guess the best one, or one of the most obvious, was the Rave Easter egg in Alpha Omega. There's probably other ones. There might be ones that we haven't discovered yet. Maybe down the road we'll find some Willard Weiler Easter eggs in Treyarch in Black Ops 4 that we missed. Maybe there's some other stuff that we missed. And that was the first video that I made a couple weeks ago. I am still gonna make and prove to you guys because it's there. It's just people don't search and don't do research as much as they used to back in 2009. That's also something that Jason Blundell said. He said when you start putting more cutscenes and storylines and dialogue, people stop coming up or trying to find the connections on their own. They're just gonna, data mine or um, wait for somebody to solve the Easter egg so they can see the end of the cutscene. And that's the unfortunate thing that I think he said he learned is like people stop doing the research when they're just gonna wait for the answer. But I've been doing research and I've been finding, and it's 100% true. There's no doubting that there is um, Treyarch zombies in Nazi zombies World War II. You just got to find the connections and do the research. And maybe down the road, you'll see more Nazi zombies. Maybe they will do a reboot of Nazi zombies, and it's gonna be similar or have some of the Easter eggs from World War II in it. Because that is a rumor that there's gonna be a Nazi zombie reboot. Ether, and they're probably gonna pull some World War II in there. And then on top of that, there is Exo Zombies Easter eggs in Treyarch and vice versa. That'll be probably the third video I made. This one's already made, the Infinite Warfare Zombies, so I'll link that. You guys can check it out. And then Exo Zombies and Treyarch, you can and the other thing too, I don't know if you can even see the cursor. These skip around, and then even in the timeline, I'll go to that real quick. There's lines going from different, storylines to different storylines. It's not all separate, and it's not just between Ether and the outside storylines. All these storylines now can jump across to other storylines, and the same thing with the Galaxy universe scenario or analogy is EXO. You down the road, if they ever remake it or make more, you might see Infinite linking with Nazi zombies, EXO in Infinite Warfare zombies, EXO with Nazi zombies. This can actually be linked because I did research and find some stuff that you can link EXO and Nazis together. And the reason I like making these two is that like it helps expedite, push along the storyline, because what's going to happen, and they've mentioned it multiple times, if they have a big storyline that they want to get, a point that they want to get across to us, to the player, to the community, if people are missing it, they're just going to keep doing it and doing it till people get it, and then they'll eventually abandon it if people don't grasp the concept, or the word that they use is resonate with the community. So I like to kind of put some stuff out there that helps people understand what's going on, so the storylines and the games don't stay stagnant, and we're not just kept repeating the same storyline over and over because people aren't getting it. So it's kind of made I started making these more for the devs and Treyarch to let them know that somebody understands what you guys are doing. Somebody can see what you guys are doing, and could be that I'm older or just newer to the storyline in the zombies community that I want to kind of I'm enjoying it, reading it, and playing the games and seeing the storylines. And I think when you're fresh and new to it, you kind of enjoy stuff a lot more. So I'm kind of like enjoying it right now, and I can understand and kind of see where they're going and stuff like that. So I just want to kind of point out to people that Blundell is right. Jason Blundell is right that there are so many different levels, and the thing with the Chronorium, it's almost like an analogy, like he said. Depending what level, you're just gonna see it as apothecons and keepers, and Mob of the Dead and stuff like that, and you're gonna be happy just knowing that it's one storyline and storylines are all intertwining or beginning to intertwine. But if you take it to another level and you do a lot more research, you'll start seeing that all these storylines across the studios are intertwining with Treyarch Zombies, and vice versa. If they make more Infinite Warfare zombies, or for some reason they put zombies in Battle Royale for Modern Warfare, you might start seeing some Treyarch aspects, or maybe they'll add Treyarch, some type of Treyarch zombies into Battle Royale, something like that. And if we get a Treyarch Nazi zombie reboot, maybe they'll use World War II. Some of the storyline will blend into the new Treyarch zombies. But I'm going to leave it at that. The last thing is eventually down the road in like the real world, billions and billions of years from now, galaxies are all going to pull towards each other and then eventually blend into one big, what they call an elliptical galaxy. So speaking in Call of Duty terms, who's to say like 5 or 10 years from now we're not gonna have one big zombies video game that Activision is gonna put out with all the characters, all the crews, and or a mashup. They could have like a Call of Duty and like a Treyarch Infinite Warfare mashup, or World War II mashup in a separate game, or map or something like that, where you see characters really starting to blend in. Or down the road, all of them are just going to blend into one big game, which I think would be awesome. Like I said, I make these so people can hopefully understand what they're doing, and see what's coming down the road. And hopefully, either if we get a Zombie Chronicles 2, maybe they'll throw in some Infinite Warfare, maybe some Exo Zombies, or in Black Ops 5 or COD 2020, we'll start also seeing some more of these studios intertwining with each other. But like I said, check out the other one that I did explaining these two already. The next one's going to be World War II and Treyarch, and then eventually I'll do Exo Zombies and Treyarch, how they all are starting to blend within each other. Alright, I'll see you guys later.